Iyajoke's hair salon stood at the corner of a bustling street in the heart of town, a modest building adorned with vibrant posters of women flaunting flawless braids and weaves. The scent of hair products and the soft hum of chit-chat filled the air, making her hair salon a popular gathering spot for women. Inside, there was always a queue of customers, all eager to have their hair touched by the hands of Iyajoke, the most sought-after hairstylist in the entire state. For years, her hands had worked wonders on all kinds of hair. Kinky, coily, thick or thin, it didn't matter. As soon as her fingers touched a head, the magic began. Her fingers moved with the precision of a sculptor, twisting, parting, and shaping hair into intricate patterns that seemed to defy the limits of what could be done. Her reputation spread like wildfire. Women from all corners of the world, even from neighboring towns, do sit in her chair, and no one ever left dissatisfied. Her work was that of an artist, bringing beauty out of even the most unruly strands. It wasn't just hairstyling, it was transformation, the kind that left people looking in the mirror with awe, barely recognizing themselves. But Iyajoke's success didn't come purely from her skill, hidden from her loyal customers. There was a dark secret woven into the foundation of her flourishing business. Every time she combed through someone's hair, detangling and smoothing, she would quietly collect the shed strands. With a deft practiced motion, she would sweep them aside without her clients noticing, carefully tucking them away. At the end of each day, when her shop was finally quiet and the last client had left, she would sweep the floor meticulously. The stray hairs that had fallen during the day's work, each strand, were precious to her. To the clients, it was a waste, mere leftovers from a day's grooming. But to Iyajoke, this hair was invaluable. Once home, she followed a ritual, one she had been taught many years ago by a mysterious herbalist. The herbalist had shown her a way to channel the energy of the hair she collected into something far greater. Each night, she would take the collected hair strands and place them into a pot of water. This wasn't ordinary water. It had been prepared with a secret blend of herbs and magic, a recipe passed down from generations to generations. As the hair boiled, the steam rising from the pot filled a small kitchen with an eerie scent, one that lingered long after the water had cooled. This wasn't just about the hair itself. It was a spiritual process, one that infused her entire being. After boiling the hair, Iyajoke would use the water to cook her food. The herbalist had been very clear. The power was in consuming this magic-laden water. Each bite of her evening meal would make her stronger, not in body, but in spirit. The ritual was key to her success. The more she performed it, the more customers would return, bringing others along with them. It wasn't just that they liked her work. They felt drawn to Iyajoke's hair salon, as if something intangible was pulling them in. Her hands, now energized by the spiritual force of the ritual, seemed to move with even more grace and speed, creating styles that were more stunning with every passing week. And with every satisfied client, her reputation grew. But Iyajoke knew it wasn't just skill. It was the dark magic working behind the scenes, fueling her rise to the top in the hairstyling business. At first, Iyajoke had been hesitant. It was disgusting boiling someone's shed hair and then using that same water to cook her food. But when she saw how her business began to grow, how women from far and wide came to her shop, willing to wait for hours just to have her touch their hair, she became addicted to the ritual. She performed it religiously every night, never skipping a single day. Her success became the envy of every other stylist in town. But what they didn't know wouldn't hurt them, she often told herself. The years went by, and Iyajoke's hair business continued to boom. Her name became a household legend, with mothers bringing their daughters to her, young women flocking to her shop before big events, and even older women seeking a touch to relieve their youthful glory. Everything seemed perfect until one fateful day. Fumi, a regular customer, walked into Iyajoke's hair salon. She was a beautiful woman in her early 30s with thick, natural hair that cascaded down her back. She smiled warmly at Iyajoke as she took a seat in the chair. "Iyajoke, I need your magic today," Fumi said with a playful grin. "I am going to a wedding and I need to be the center of attention." Iyajoke chuckled. "You know I always deliver, Fumi. By the time I am done, they will be asking if you are the bride." They laughed together as Iyajoke began her work. Her fingers moved swiftly through Fumi's hair. She braided with precision, pulling the strands tight and locking them in perfect rows. Fumi relaxed into the chair, trusting Iyajoke completely. When she was finished, Fumi looked in the mirror and gasped, "Ha! Iyajoke, you've done it again." She turned her head from side to side, admiring her hair. "It's beautiful." Iyajoke smiled and stepped back, pleased with her work. But as Fumi stood up, something unexpected happened. Fumi began to pick up the small hairs that had fallen to the floor during the styling. Iyajoke's heart skipped a bit. "Ah, Fumi, no need to worry. Don't worry about that," Iyajoke said, trying to sound calm. "I will sweep it up for you." Fumi shook her head. "No, Iyajoke, I have read somewhere that it is bad luck to leave your hair strand behind. I always like to keep it, just in case." "No, no, no," Iyajoke said, her voice rising with a hint of panic. She reached out to stop Fumi, but Fumi had already begun collecting the hairs from the floor. Fumi turned to her with a frown. "Iyajoke, what is wrong?" "It's just my hair. I will take care of it." Iyajoke's hands trembled. "Please, Fumi, leave it. You must leave it." But Fumi was undeterred. She gathered the strands from the floor, even reaching for the ones still stuck in the comb Iyajoke had used. She placed the hair in her bag, oblivious to the growing fear in Iyajoke's eyes. Iyajoke could barely contain her terror. She tried to speak, but the words couldn't come out. She watched helplessly as Fumi gathered all the hair and walked out of the shop with a casual wave. "Thank you, Iyajoke. I will see you again soon." As soon as Fumi left, Iyajoke collapsed into a chair, her body shaking. She frantically grabbed her phone and dialed her herbalist number. "Hello," came the voice on the other end. "Baba, Baba, something terrible has happened," Iyajoke cried into the phone. "A customer took her hair. She took it, Baba. What do I do?" There was a pause on the line, and Iyajoke could hear her herbalist's deep sigh. "I warned you, didn't I?" he said in a grave tone. "I told you no customer must take their hair from your hair salon." I know," Iyajoke sobbed. "But is there nothing we can do? Please, Baba, help me." But the herbalist's voice was cold. "There is no remedy, Iyajoke. The consequences will come, and there's nothing I can do to stop them." "Please!" The call ended abruptly, leaving Iyajoke in stunned silence. She stared at her phone, tears streaming down her face. She had played with forces beyond her control, and now the time had come to pay the price. That night, as Iyajoke lay in bed, she began to feel a strange sensation in her hands. It started as a dull ache, but soon her fingers began to swell, growing larger and larger until they were unrecognizable. She screamed in terror, clutching her hands as the swelling worsened. She rushed to the hospital the next morning, but the doctors were baffled. They ran test after test, But no one could explain what was happening to Iyajoke. Weeks went by, and the swelling only grew worse. Her hands became useless, swollen to the point where she could no longer hold a comb, let alone style hair. Then the maggots came. They crawled out from beneath her skin, writhing and squirming as they ate away at her flesh. The sight of them sent Iyajoke into hysterics, but no amount of screaming or crying could stop the horror that was unfolding. Months passed, and Iyajoke's condition deteriorated. Her once glorious hands, the hands that had brought her so much success, were now a source of endless pain and suffering. She could no longer bear the agony, and eventually her body gave out. Iyajoke died alone, her once booming hair salon now abandoned. The women who had once flocked to her for her magic had long since forgotten her name, and the story of the hairstylist who had played with dark forces became nothing more than a cautionary tale whispered among the people. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this video. I would like to know the country you are watching this from. Please write the country in the comment section and let me appreciate you. I'm sure you would enjoy this next video. See you in the next one.